Welcome to another episode of Keep Creating. My name is Kim, and today we're going to be trying something unique on the show. We're going to be having a mini class. In class, we're going to be taking some party napkins, canvas, and some collage glue, and we're going to be creating this beautiful piece of art. Using just napkins, glue, and a little bit of modeling clay, we're going to be able to create something simple and easy for you to make at home. Join us in just a few moments, and we'll get started. Welcome back. Today we are going to do a little mini class for you here on Keep Creating. So today we're going to be doing napkin decoupage. In this particular tutorial, you are only going to need a canvas of any kind. You are going to want it to be a sturdy canvas, but any type of canvas will work. You're going to need a napkin of your choosing. These are napkins that I get at the Christmas tree shop or Walmart, Stop and Shop, any of those places that have beautiful napkins. That's all you're going to need. Then we are also going to need some lightweight modeling clay, and this is an air dry clay. It's very light, super light, and really you're going to need so little of it. And the thing that makes the whole thing put together is this napkin decoupage texture paste from Viva. This is actually imported from Germany. It is kind of a little bit harder to get, but you could substitute with some other types of collage material, such as like a Mod Podge or whatnot. This is great because it doesn't rip your napkin, so that's just a little bit of something to know. So we're going to use this today. Some other things that you're going to need is some sort of a mat or something to protect your work surface. You're also going to need a water brush, or you could use a regular paintbrush and some water, and a little cup for your glue, your collage glue. And then we're also going to bring in here just a regular paintbrush. This is about 3/4 inch flat brush, some water, and some napkins. Now this is a technique that we have already done here before several times. This one here was done by one of the instructors here, Susan. Susan Shalafo actually teaches these classes often. And what she has done here is she's actually just taken a paper mache box. She's gessoed over it so that it is white, because there previously was a brown color. And then she's actually used a napkin and decoupage right on top of that. I actually have that napkin here too. Let's show you that. Just remembered that I have that. So here you can see the napkin that she used for that card. So it's kind of a cute little box here for Easter. Of course, we're going to just do one for springtime. So we have here a napkin with some tulips and hyacinth and some other flowers on top of it. Because my base is already white, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to put that off to the side for now. And I'm going to be working with our napkin. The first thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you grab the napkin and just separate the actual design from the backing. Now, a lot of napkins have two, and you have to be careful of that. And you don't want to rip it. You just kind of want to peel that backing off. It's kind of takes a little bit of delicate, especially if it's quilted. This one happens to have a little quilting on it. I'm just going to peel that off. It's important because you really just want that one layer. Otherwise, if you don't, the layers are going to stick to themselves. Now you can throw that away. Oh, actually, there is 2 layers here. So you can see, I'm going to peel off this next one. See how transparent this is? And that's actually what's going to make your technique. Here, this one here is coming off just as nicely too. You can see, you can actually use this napkin, the piece that we're peeling off, as your napkin that you need for your paintbrushes or whatnot as well. Again, it just takes a little bit of maneuvering. You don't want this to rip off. You don't want this to rip your main piece. If it does rip it, it's going to be okay, but you certainly want to have a little bit of delicacy to this. You can see that is. Some have 2, some have 3 layers, some only 1. Depends on the quality of the napkin. I don't know who makes them, just we just want this piece here. The other two pieces we can just use for what they're used for, napkins. So now what we want is our base is about yay size. So I need to go ahead and add, make sure that I get this on here. I want to be able to make this size. Now I'm going to take my water brush and I'm going to go ahead and we're going to wet this tissue all the way down here. And the reason why I wet the tissue rather than go ahead with my scissors and cut this is that then I won't have any jagged lines. And can you see how that just kind of rips right apart like this? That's the part that you want. You just want to have that uneven edge, because in this particular technique, uneven edges are your friend, because your uneven edges are actually going to be easier to hide than a straight edge. So we have now two pieces. Now this piece here we're going to save because we're going to use this after we're done adding this one on. But you want to keep this one for now off to the side because you don't want to make sure you use it. And here I have my main piece. Now my canvas is much larger than this, so now it's just a matter of deciding whether or not I want it to go this way, whichever way, however you want it. I'm actually going to make my life easy and just go one direction rather than both. And I'm just going to do a small amount of measuring on top of the canvas just so I know where to cut. Although, again, we're not cutting. We are just going to rip or tear with water. Again, this is just water. Now, if you did not have a water pen like this, just a small paintbrush dipped into water and then added right down would do the same technique, would do the same effect here. Actually, add that right on. See, just like that. It's nice and easy. Pull that right off. So this is just some extra. You can use it for a different project, or you can go ahead and maybe even be able to use it for the next one if you had this reoccurring pattern. Now, if you do not have a napkin that has the same pattern on both sides like this one, you're going to need two of the same napkins. That's probably not too much of a hardship since they come in packs of 15, 25. But just so you know, if you have a really fabulous napkin that you've managed to scoff from your latest baby shower or wedding shower or something like that, you'll need two of them. So we're going to take our base now and we're going to go ahead and we are going to use the napkin decoupage glue. And this is just a nice thin but thick enough glue to hold this down. We're just going to add a little bit down at one side here, just so that we can add this on. Now you can see I'm really just adding a nice thin layer. I went over that once and had a little bit of a thickness to it, but now I'm going over it and I'm just making sure that it's nice and thin. This container that I had here might actually do the entire project, but I do have extra in case I need it. You really use so very little of both of these products. You really only need a little bit of both. So I have here just most of it down. Now this side here isn't done yet, but I wanted to just place that right on down here so I know that it's on. And you want to make sure that you do this and you maybe give it a little rub as you go so that you don't get any bubbles. You certainly don't want any of those. We are going to go over this with the napkin decoupage glue again, just so that it has almost a sandwich, the napkin sandwich in between. So this is that last little third that I hadn't gotten completed here. This is a great project. If you could make these into cards if you wanted as well, but when you do that, you just need a little bit of chipboard behind your card base. You need a little bit of something sturdy to hold that onto. So even if you use something similar to a Cheerio box, the inside of a Cheerio box or whatnot, and painted that with some gesso, which is basically just white glue with a little tooth to it, you could do that to make a card. So I have here my little piece. I've added that right on. You can see I have a little bit of wrinkling, but that's going to dry flat, which is nice. You can see I have a little bubble there, and that's fine. You can go ahead over. And then the good thing about this, when you go over it, you can see it's almost getting rid of, I don't know, let's see if I can hold this up there. You can see right here I've gone over it and it's almost gotten rid of the quilting that's there, whereas down below there's still some quilting, and we're going to get rid of that, and that's just by going over it again with decoupage glue. So I'm going to go over that, and very thin layer. You don't want too much, just a little bit, and then we're going to let this just dry for a few minutes. Now I have a little bit of extra over here flopping over. That's fine. We're actually going to just kind of run our paintbrush down with the glue and get that on the back. You can actually, once you've done that, I like to get dirty, so I don't mind getting my finger right into that. There. Now we have more on this side. The more that you do this, the easier it will become as you go along. Susan teaches this class probably once a quarter, and she always does something really great, and the ladies love it. Now she's used also some gel to add some sparkle. We actually have some of that I'll add today to our finished project too. She's done a bunch of different things. She has done a little canvas like this as well as some cards too. So there you go. So you can see how we have added right on to that the base of our canvas. And we'll be right back after this dries.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Welcome back. So our canvas has now had plenty of time to dry, and we're going to move on to the next step. And that is, we're going to take a couple of these flowers and we're going to give them dimension. And we're going to do that with the modeling clay. So we're going to open the little package of modeling clay, and it's super light and super fluffy. You can see it's not a lot, and you really don't need a lot for this particular project either. If you have too much, what's going to happen is it's really just going to get distorted and it's not going to look right. So we're going to take some of this modeling paste, or modeling clay, I'm sorry, that we have, and we're going to just add this right on top of some of the projects here. So we're going to give maybe a little bit of the glue. Give that just a little, I put that in water to keep it fresh. A little bit of the glue right on top here so that we can get the modeling paste to stick. That's just not necessary, but just a little step there if you're finding it's moving too much. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to add some more here. I want this hyacinth here, I guess that is, to be kind of lumpy bumpy. And if you want, you can add a little bit of texture too. Actually, I have the back side of my paintbrush here, and we're just going to give it a little pop, just like that, okay? Now, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, I'll do some more, but what I want to show you is how we're going to finish that off. And that's only because it's going to take in steps anyway. So I've done one, and I'm going to take back that one piece. Remember, we had to use the piece that was exactly the same as the previous piece. Now, I have my little hyacinth on here, and I have also my water brush. So I'm going to go a nice breadth around it. You don't want to go directly right on it, otherwise you're going to end up with not enough to go over the top of the hyacinth. So I'm giving a nice wide berth here to the hyacinth, and I'm going to try to see if I can rip that gently. There we go, right off. And again, this just takes a little bit of finesse, and just a little bit here. And we're going to be doing this a couple of times, of course, because we're going to have a couple of other things popped up in this. It's not going to be just this one hyacinth. So here I have my piece kind of just taken right out, right like that. And then what we're going to do is, once we have that, we're going to place that. And what you want is to make sure that you place it exactly on top of it. That's the key here. If you don't place it exactly on top, it'll maybe look a little like a shadow technique, but we're going to just add a little bit of the collage glue right around the edges here. I'm going to place this right on top. Actually, it's sticking up my finger, so put that down, place this, and I can actually see exactly where this goes. Line that right up just like that. Now it's going to line up pretty well. Of course, you're going to have a little bit of, oh, there, perfect. You're going to have a little bit of the lumpy bumpy, and that's exactly what you want. Can you see how that's working out here? Now, I have a little bit extra maybe that I don't want, so I'm just going to rip that. And with my fingernail, maybe just peel that away. There we go. And I can add a little bit more of this just to these edges to let them sit down. See, just like that. Go ahead and make sure you get out any air bubbles. You don't want any air bubbles inside that. Add that right onto that. So see how that's created a nice little bit of texture and dimension to our finished piece. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to add a couple more of these. I'll show you that again. So let's say we want to do these little tulips here, this set of 3. We'll do this set of 3. So I'm going to take the little bit of the modeling clay, and again, it's not a lot. It's, the package is huge. It's got 1.75 ounces, which gives you an idea of how light it is. And I'm really using not even 1/100th of it. It's really a tiny bit. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to just add a little bit right on top here. That's just the glue. And we're going to go ahead and shape this. And that's the whole key, is you just want to shape it. You want to have it the same size. You don't want it really to go outside of your design. You want to have it the same size and the same shape. And that's what's going to make the dimension look realistic. Now this particular one has some little edges that kind of go off. If you can shape it, go ahead and try. If you can't, that's fine too. And you can see that one there. Now because I'm going to do the 2 in the same area, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to move on to adding a few more on here. So I'm going to grab a little bit more of my clay, add that right on top. And now don't worry, I know that you are thinking to yourself, while you're covering up that, once you're done, you can see that there's definitely a little bit, you put that color right back on. So even though it looks funny right now, you're going to put that color right back. And I'm just going to go ahead and add that glue on again just to hold that down for myself. Make it easier for myself to shape these. And put that right on just like that. And I'm going to do this last one here. Oh, wrong pen, wrong utensil. Use my paintbrush with the collage glue. Add that right on. Grab some more. This is a great thing that you can do, a great class, a great little project that you can do for any kind of group. Kids love things like this. Now this was a little bit too big, so kids love things like this, and there's nothing in it that's going to harm them. Everything here is pretty safe for them. You don't have to worry too much about that, so that's a great thing to know. I know that we've had several people in here want to do this technique, and they're older people, elderly. They love to do something crafty, and this is the perfect class, perfect technique for this, for them, because it doesn't really take any kind of intricacy. You just basically smudging on a bunch of different light modeling paste onto napkins, so it's really cool. All right, so I have those on, and now I need to find those in my napkin. So I have those here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go right around the outside. Uh-oh. So what I've done is I have gotten a little too wet around there. Not a problem, because in this particular one, I have an extra. I think that's going to be, oh, that's not the same one. So we'll just be very careful when we go ahead and color. That's one thing to note. If you get it too wet, you will need to be very careful to rip it. Otherwise, you'll rip right into your design. The one thing that you may want to consider when you do this is how many times the design has been repeated. So, and if you do rip it, it's probably not the end of the world. You can probably fit it back together again easily too. So I'm going to get this and I'm going to just rip this part right apart here. And I'm going to have to lift this up to just be gentle with it. And this one here. Here I have my 3 tulips. And I'm going to try very gently. It's very delicate. That's one thing. Very delicate. I'm going to go ahead and grab my collage glue and I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit. Just kind of pounce it around. I don't want to go ahead and like really rub it like this because I don't want it to move the modeling paste that I've placed down there. So I'm going to pounce it. If you feel like you can add it on without moving it, you know, certainly go ahead and do that, but just a little bit, a little dab will do you in this case. And then we're going to go ahead, try to match those up. Let's see if I can get this on here. It's a little delicate, of course. It's harder to talk and be delicate at the same time. So there we go. Oh, very nice. Okay. Can see how that has just been added right on. I'm going to go ahead and use my paintbrush to its full advantage, and I'm just going to get into the cracks there, into the crevices, and try to get that so that it doesn't have any air bubbles. And that's the good thing about the napkin, is that it does have a little bit of breathability, so you're not going to need to be too worried about whether or not there's some air bubbles on before you place it down. You can actually pounce those air bubbles out. So we have that one there. So I think what we'll do is, because I've done some over here and something here, is we'll just do these last 2 and we'll be able to finish those up. So I need a little bit more of the modeling paste here. I'm sorry, the glue, not the modeling paste. The collage glue, and add a little bit more of these on. And again, I'm just going to shape them to the size that I need. Add that right on just like that. And one more here, and then we'll be done. And this tulip here is a little bit more open, so you might need to shape your paste, or your modeling clay, just a little bit more, because you want to be able to get that full design. You can see I just kind of gave it even 3 little spikes there. You can see how I've done that. I just actually gave it the look of the actual tulip. So now when you're done with the light modeling paste, you do want to go ahead and wrap that up and put it into some sort of a plastic baggie with no air. So you want to make sure that that stays well for your next project. You can see it uses so little bit of it. So the last thing we're going to do here is I need to go ahead and find those same tulips, which are here, and we're going to go ahead and cut those right out. And again, it's so simple, so easy. The water really just makes it, because you're just getting it wet enough so that you can rip it. If you were going to go ahead and use this and cut it with some scissors, what happens is you get a harsh line, and then it doesn't look as natural. So it's definitely much easier and much prettier when you do the tearing technique with the water. And if you don't have one of these, again, just a paintbrush and some water will work perfectly fine. So I have my last little bit. So now this is just waste. You can use it for cleaning up your mess when you're done. And like I said, I wasn't even going to need, see, I used exactly how much I had in that jar. I never even needed any more. So we're going to add this right on top here. And then we're going to go ahead and lay these on top. And we're almost done, because once this is down, the last little bit that we need to do is just add a little bit of sparkle to it, and we'll be done. So you can see I just added that. Go ahead and pounce that on top. And this is a really very unique technique, a great technique to do. Simple, easy, whips up, very convenient. We've had several kids in classes before doing this. We've had a lot of different types of people come to do this technique. It's really a fan favorite here, so we love it. So you can see that we have completed the dimension of the flowers. Now the last little bit we're going to do is just add a little bit of sparkle in just a minute. All right, once this has dried, what you're going to do is you're going to add just a little bit of sparkle on top of your project, and that's just going to finish it off. You could certainly give it the way that it is, frame it or unframed. Make sure you sign the back of it, but you can easily just go ahead and add a little bit of some sparkle to the top. I don't think a lot of projects are finished without a little sparkle. So we just have a little bit of some glitter glue here in different colors. Mostly, we're probably just going to be sticking with the light colors here, which will dry to just a glitter base. So I'm going to add that right on top. Hopefully these come out. Oh, perfect. And you can use your finger or you could use a paintbrush if you really don't want to. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to pounce that right on top. You can see how I've just added a little bit of sparkle. Oops, oops. Sparkle to that hyacinth there. Does that come out there? A little bit of sparkle. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to actually add it to some of the other flowers that were ignored in our project. So, and this is just going to add a little bit of extra something to the project here. And let's see, what do you think? We can also add a little bit more maybe to the bases down here, just to add a little bit of something. See if it comes out some more. Yep, I thought. Add a little bit more of this one. Just a little bit extra, just a different type, a little bit of a different color, which is fine. We'll just add a little bit more into here to add some interest. And then once you have completed this, anything extra that you might want to add, you could certainly add a little sentiment to this. I have a little bit of some napkin here that is just a little bit of a harsh line, so I'm just kind of scuff it with my finger to try to get that so that it stays, so it looks a little bit more natural. And I've just added a little bit of sparkle to the top of this. This will take probably 3 hours or so to dry completely because you have encased the modeling paste inside of napkins. Depending also upon the thickness of the clay, sorry, modeling clay, I keep saying paste. Modeling clay, you want to make sure that you let this dry completely before you give it as a gift. So it's definitely an easy project to do maybe the day before or even a couple of hours before if you know that you're going to have plenty of time for it to dry. Again, you could certainly do this wonderfully as a card. This is definitely a nice canvas base, and of course you could certainly use something nice and sturdy such as this beautiful basket that we have here. I hope you have enjoyed this technique. This is a wonderful technique to use and do, and it really requires very little materials and super easy, super elegant, and simple to have fun with. I hope you've enjoyed this class, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Keep Creating. I hope you enjoyed this technique. If there's any other techniques or things that you'd like to see on the show, please give us an email at keptcreations@gmail.com. Until next time, I'm Kim Parkinson, and keep creating.